Ma'am, physical cheating, emotional cheating, it's all the same. It's all the same. You ruined a great thing. That's on you. That is on you. No sympathy over here. I'm sorry. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be completely honest.
I cheated emotionally, got caught, and lost the best man I ever had. I know this channel is for men, but I ruined my own marriage. Hi, True Story. I know your channel is mostly for men to write in and share their stories, and trust me, I've listened to enough of them to understand why. But I've also heard a few women write in, so I figured I'd send mine in too. If you don't want to read it, I completely understand. I know I'm not the typical writer for your platform, but if you do choose to share this, I hope someone out there learns from it. My name is Bridget, and I ruined my own marriage. And unlike a lot of the women you've featured who seem to send their emails as a way to excuse themselves or blame everything on their ex husbands, I'm writing to say it was all my fault. No excuses, no finger pointing, no manipulation. Just the truth. I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me, and the only man who ever truly loved me in a healthy, committed way. I don't want sympathy. I just want to be honest. I met my ex husband in one of the most unexpected ways. He was remodeling parts of the building where I worked, just a small call center in downtown Seattle. I was just another woman on the phones, taking calls from irritated customers, dealing with bad management, eating lunch in the break room, barely making it through each day. But one day, we were told an architect would be coming in to do walkthroughs and inspections with the construction team, and that someone needed to help escort him around the floors. I volunteered mostly because it got me off the phones for an hour. That was the first time I saw him, my future husband. He was tall, clean cut, confident, without being arrogant, and he smelled amazing. You know that scent you can't explain? Classy, warm, expensive. I didn't know at the time that he was actually a licensed architect registered in the state of Washington with his own private firm. All I knew was that he smiled at me like I mattered. Not in a creepy way, not like the usual men who catcall or stare too long. It was intentional, respectful. He told me later that he liked how I carried myself, that I didn't act like all the other women who were clearly fawning over him, which they were. The women in my office could barely contain themselves. He was charming and successful, and when word got out that he had no wedding ring, half the women started planning their wedding vows in their heads. But I played it cool. Maybe too cool, honestly. I lied to him. Right from the beginning, I told him I was single when I wasn't. I was living with my boyfriend at the time. Things were already going downhill with him. We were barely speaking, sleeping in different rooms, constantly fighting. But technically, I wasn't single. Not yet. Still, I told myself it was over emotionally. I wanted out, and this guy, this beautiful, well spoken architect, was something different, something rare. I told myself, don't screw this up. So, I broke things off with my boyfriend the following week, moved back in with my mother. I tried to do things right after that, but the damage was already there. I started a relationship based on a lie, and even though he never found out about it, I think that set the tone for what I would later become. Dating him was like a dream. I went from checking broken headsets at a call center to eating at high end restaurants, learning about architecture, design, and even flying out with him to California once to check out a design showcase. He treated me with dignity. He held the door. He respected my boundaries. He actually listened to me. And when he asked me to move in, I didn't even hesitate. After about a year of dating, he proposed. A small dinner, just us. I cried. I said yes. And just like that, my life changed. I quit my job shortly after we married. He told me I didn't have to work if I didn't want to, that I could focus on the home. Maybe start a side hustle or go back to school if I wanted to. I took the easy route. I stayed home, and I was fine with it for a while. The first 6 months of marriage were peaceful. I'd make sure dinner was ready, the house was clean, and we'd spend weekends together. But during the weekdays, he'd travel for work, sometimes 2 or 3 nights a week. He'd call me, FaceTime me, check in regularly, but I let doubt creep in. The truth is, I let the wrong people into my mind. I kept in contact with a few friends from the call center job, mostly women who never really supported me or my relationship. One of them, Lisa, was always negative, always had something to say about how too good to be true things were. She told me, "Girl, you know he probably got some chick in every city." She'd laugh about how men with money don't stay faithful. I let her nonsense get to me. I started doubting him, even though he never gave me a reason to. That's when I did the dumbest thing in my life. I downloaded Hinge. At first, I told myself it was just curiosity. I didn't even use my real name on the profile. I uploaded a few pictures of myself around the house, selfies in the living room, one in the kitchen, another in the guest bathroom mirror. I didn't think much of it. I didn't even plan to meet anyone. But then the attention came, fast, constant. Compliments, flirty messages, guys telling me I was beautiful, asking where I was from, wanting to know more about me. And I liked it. I liked it way too much. I flirted. I messaged late into the night when my husband was gone on business. I didn't physically cheat, but emotionally, I was gone. I even agreed once to send a nude, though I chickened out before actually doing it. But the intent was there, and I would have eventually crossed that line. I know that now. The worst part? I still don't know how he found out. One day, he came home early from a trip, sat me down at the kitchen table and slid over a manila folder. Inside were printouts, screenshots of my Hinge profile, messages I sent, flirty comments, and yes, the one message where I almost sent the photo. I felt sick. I couldn't breathe. I had no explanation. I just sat there, silent. He didn't scream. He didn't curse. He didn't throw anything. He just stood up, said, "I thought I married someone different," and left the house. Within a week, I was back at my mother's place, 8 months into our marriage, and I was alone. Divorced less than a year after I said I do. I could sit here and try to blame the friends who fed me those toxic ideas, or blame boredom or insecurities, but none of that matters. It was me. I had the perfect man, the perfect opportunity to build a real, lasting life. And I chose attention from strangers over stability, over love, over real commitment. It's been almost 2 years now. I've been in therapy for most of it. At first, I was trying to figure out why I sabotaged myself, but eventually I had to stop asking why and start owning up to what I did. And that's why I'm writing this to you, true story. Listening to the men on your channel has been a wake-up call. I used to think men didn't feel things deeply, that they didn't hurt the way we do. But your channel proved me wrong. I've heard stories that made me cry, stories that reminded me of the man I lost. And I kept waiting for one story to be worse than mine so I could tell myself I wasn't the worst wife ever. But I might be. And I accept that now. To my ex-husband, wherever he is, I just want to say I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if you think of me anymore. But if somehow this message ever finds its way to you, I want you to know you didn't do anything wrong. You were amazing. You were more than I deserved. I was too immature, too weak-minded, too caught up in needing validation from others. You were all I ever needed, and I didn't see it until it was too late. And to the men listening to this channel, I just want to say I see you, I hear you, and I'm sorry. I know women like me have made you feel invisible, replaceable, unimportant. You're not. There are women out there who do see your value, and I hope you find one of them. I hope you find peace, and as for me, I'm still healing. I don't date. I've deleted all the apps. I'm rebuilding my life from the inside out. I volunteer on weekends, help my mom out around the house, and I journal every day. I'm not writing this email because I want to get him back. I know that door is closed. I'm writing this because if even one woman hears this and rethinks a bad decision, or one man hears this and realizes he's not crazy for having feelings, then maybe my failure wasn't for nothing. Thank you, True Story, for letting me share this. Follow up to my last email. I deserve this. Hi, True Story. I'm writing to ask if this follow up can be added to my last email because, honestly, I don't feel like I told the whole truth. Not because I was holding anything back, but because after hearing my own words out loud and sitting with it, I realized that people deserve to know the full story, even the parts that make me look worse, even the parts I've tried to avoid, minimize, or forget. You read so many powerful stories on your channel. I listen to them while I cook, while I'm cleaning, while I'm driving. I thought sharing what I already told you would be the hardest part, but this follow-up is going to be even harder because it's about what happened after I lost my husband, after I sabotaged everything. If anyone thinks karma isn't real, I'm living proof that it is. I didn't just lose my marriage, I lost my sense of purpose, my identity, and eventually my dignity. And I think it's important for women like me who have made selfish, terrible decisions to stop pretending like we're working on ourselves in cute little ways and admit when we are being spiritually and emotionally punished. The universe gave me the perfect man, and I spit in his face, and now I'm suffering for it. I think my descent started the day I walked back into my mother's house. It felt like going from a palace to a prison. The bed was small, the walls were thin, and I could hear my little cousins running up and down the hallway. There was no privacy, no peace, no beautiful home with curated furniture and the smell of sandalwood. No more, "Hey babe, I'm home," or his voice calling out to ask if I wanted dinner from our favorite Thai place. Just silence and judgment. My mom didn't say much at first, but I could feel the disappointment. I tried to play it cool, like we were just going through something. But eventually, I broke down and told her the truth. She looked at me like she didn't know who I was. She asked me, "How do you throw away a man like that for apps?" And I didn't have an answer. All I said was, "I messed up." I didn't just mess up, I self-destructed. At first, I kept trying to reach out to my ex, a few texts here and there just to say I was thinking of him. I apologized again and again, no response. Then one day, I sent a long voice message crying, begging actually, and he replied with just one sentence. "Bridget, please don't contact me again." I stared at that text for almost an hour, and that's when the real spiral began. I started going out, not because I wanted to party or meet new people, but because I couldn't stand being in that house. I went out with old coworkers who never had my best interest at heart. Girls who encouraged the bad behavior in the first place. I drank too much, I flirted too easily, and I'd lie to myself and say I was healing. But the truth is, I was trying to bury the shame. And you know what? I ended up in one toxic situationship after another. One guy I met at a bar actually stole from me, took my debit card out of my wallet while I was in the shower, and withdrew $300 before I even realized it. Another guy lied about having a girlfriend, and I found out because she showed up at my job ready to fight. Every man I've dealt with since the divorce has been a walking red flag. But even deeper than that, my mental health started to crumble. There were nights I'd cry until 3 a.m. because I missed my ex-husband so much it felt physical, like I couldn't breathe. I would scroll through our old texts, watch old videos we'd taken on vacation, listen to old voicemails I had saved. I even found the anniversary card he gave me just 4 months before the divorce, telling me how proud he was to call me his wife. It shattered me. I started blaming myself over and over again, like a broken record. Why did I download that stupid app? Why did I let Lisa talk me into doubting him? Why didn't I delete the profile after a day? The self-loathing got so loud that I stopped eating right. I stopped showering regularly, and for a few weeks, I barely left my bed. I knew I had hit rock bottom when my little cousin came into my room and asked me, "Are you sick? You haven't come out to watch movies with us anymore." That's when I realized I was letting the darkness consume me in a way that was now affecting even the kids in my family. So I went back to therapy, and this time I didn't sugarcoat it. I told the therapist, "I cheated emotionally. I betrayed someone who loved me, and I can't stop punishing myself for it." I cried through the whole session. But the therapist said something that stuck with me. "You're experiencing the consequences of your actions, and that's not karma being cruel. That's life trying to teach you." That shook me because she was right. What I'm going through isn't some mystical curse. It's the reality of what happens when you make choices that hurt people. It's waking up every day knowing that someone who loved me with everything he had will never look at me the same again. It's knowing I turned his safe haven, his home, into a place of betrayal. That's not a wound that heals in weeks or months. That's a scar. Since then, I've done everything I can to rebuild. I got a part-time job at a floral shop. I started journaling more consistently, not just about what I've lost, but about what I've learned. I've been trying to make amends in my own small way, even if it's just by being honest with others who are on the verge of making the same mistake. One day, a friend of a friend was talking about being bored in her relationship, and she said, "Maybe I'll just hop on Bumble and see what's out there." I looked her straight in the face and said, "Don't. You will ruin your life." And then I told her everything. I told her about the man I married, the trust I broke, and the hole I'm trying to climb out of. She was stunned. She asked me, "Why are you being so honest?" I told her, "Because I wish someone had been that honest with me before I blew up my life." True story. I think what makes your channel so powerful is that it gives men a voice, but also gives people like me a mirror. I see myself in the women you read about, the denial, the gaslighting, the selfishness. But I also see what could have been. I see the kindness of the men who cooked, cleaned, worked double shifts, paid for everything, planned thoughtful dates, helped raise kids that weren't theirs, and still got cheated on or abandoned. And it makes me sick to know I was one of those women. I want women listening to this to understand something. That attention you're chasing, it's empty. It fades. And when you wake up alone, scrolling through meaningless messages from men who don't care if you live or die, you'll realize what you gave up. Stability, respect, honor, legacy, that's what I had. And I threw it away for dopamine hits from strangers. And now, here's what my days look like. I still live with my mom. I don't have a savings account anymore. I haven't dated anyone seriously in over a year because I'm scared I'll never be capable of loving right again. I wake up some mornings feeling hopeful, but by noon, I remember what I lost and the guilt creeps back in. And no, I'm not suicidal, but I do have days where I feel like I'm stuck in a fog that won't lift. Because no matter how much time passes, I can't undo what I did. I can't get him back. I can't unbreak his heart. To the men listening, I see you. I'm sorry you've had to endure this pain. I'm sorry women like me gave love a bad name. I'm sorry society told you to man up and move on like it didn't hurt you. You deserved better. My ex-husband deserved better. And I know that now. And to the women listening, if you're unhappy in your relationship, talk to your partner. Communicate. Be honest. Don't listen to toxic friends who project their own misery onto your life. Don't go seeking attention from strangers to fix a hole in your soul that only healing and self-reflection can fill. Because if you don't listen to reason, karma will show up. It might not come in the form of a dramatic car crash or some big scandal. Sometimes it shows up as slow, quiet suffering, as watching the man you lost move on while you're still stuck in the consequences of your own betrayal, as waking up one day and realizing the best version of your life is gone and is no one's fault but yours. So, yes, please add this to my original email, because this is the truth, all of it. And if it makes me look bad, so be it. I am the villain of my own story. But maybe by being honest about that, someone else can be the hero of theirs. Thank you for listening.